Hello and welcome to the Mind Your Own Business podcast. I am so excited to welcome this guest today. He is an entrepreneur. He's an angel investor. He's a social scientist, the founder of Authenticated Ventures, also a recovering label executive from Columbia Records back in the 90s during the golden era. And just for fun, he's also a DJ on the side, and a damn good one at that, if I might add. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. James Andrews, welcome to the show.
Yes, Elizabeth, super excited to be here. Super interested in where we're going with this conversation, and I'm open to any questions.
Right on. Well, it's an honor to meet you. You know, we're really getting to drop in, and I've done a lot of kind of investigating, if you will, and looking at what you've done. And there are so many things that are inspiring because you've gone from senior roles at record labels to fashion brands to tech startups. You've worked on advertising agencies, venture capital. You've been building and scaling your own businesses, and you've had 2 successful exits. So, you know, it's like, what don't you do, James?
I don't do crossword puzzles. I haven't become a spin teacher at SoulCycle yet. There's still some things. Sesame Street. There's still some things left on the bucket list. Yeah, exactly.
I haven't been on Clubhouse before. I hadn't been, and I had signed up, and I was like, I don't know, 2 a.m. I mean, it was like late, right? And
really?
Somehow, like, I picked up my phone. I was getting ready to go to bed, and I was in a room. And then there was music playing, and I swear I've never been on it. So I was just like, oh, there's music. And I thought that it was a thing where it's more like a conference hall where you kind of like, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to teach you about X. Right. And so I thought, oh, geez, I do a lot of that. Like, maybe I don't really need that. And so the music was playing, and it was you were DJing, and I was like, oh, wow. And I have never in my life ever, I love music. I have musicians in my family, all of it. I've never in my life had somebody like nail the intersection of the type of music that I love more than you ever. Wow. It was like, you know, it was like hip hop, old school, new school. It was also global connected, right? And then it had like house and then it was just like, and new things and things that I had heard, and then remixes of things, and reggae, and just like that roots, like connection. Oh man, I didn't sleep. And I'm like, wow, there's thousands of people on here. And there were people from the East Coast, and it was like 4 or 5 a.m. for them. I don't know, maybe it was like 1 and it was 4 over there. And they were like, James, you're so good. Like, I can't go to sleep. I'm just popping around my house. You know, I was like, I was doing the same thing. I'm lying there in the dark going, I can't turn this off. Who is this guy? You know? So cool. You did that. And that curiosity, like it prompted me to really reach out to you and just be like, hey, I was so moved by it, honestly, that I was like, I have to reach out to this guy. And thank God that we were able to connect. You know, that doesn't happen that often either. So, right. You know, that's pretty amazing.
You know, there's a line in Hamilton that says, I want to be in the room where things happen. And I think a lot of what I do is making the rooms where things happen and making the moments where things happen. And I just got clear in the pandemic to embrace this idea of room creation and room building and really world building, which is essentially what we're doing these days. So we're building worlds. So you were in one of my worlds. I've been doing these things called Jeffersonian dinners. I did 100 of them last year.
Wow.
I learned the Jeffersonian dinner gathering. So I was doing a lot of this pre-pandemic. So sure. I was known for my dinners at Soho House Malibu. I was known for like the things we did in this tour called Culture and Code. So a lot of this is like, it was a little ahead of its time. And now coming out of the pandemic, it's never been a better time to build community, to build gathering, to build experience. It's going to be, and so to your point, we're already launching in June with a partnership with Soho House. We're turning LA into something we're calling Creator City. We're burrowing this place out so that South Bay, West Side, Midtown, DTLA, you know, we're kind of doing a different event, you know, different days. We're already thinking through what life post-pandemic. I'm already on to summer 2022. I believe it's coming out of this thing. It becomes the Harlem Renaissance meets the Roaring Twenties meets the Summer of Love of '69. And there's going to be more creators that create all these beautiful constructs with, the ability to finance it through NFTs, the ability to like share equitably across their cap tables. And I believe that like the idea economy is gonna come together in these really interesting ways. And there's gonna be more sex, lots of sex, and that's the Summer of Love '69. But
sounds great.
yeah.
I'm in. So what about then, if you're talking about there's the authenticated that you've created, if I could call it like a social network, right? And then there's also authenticated ventures, which is the way that I'm seeing it is more like this big kind of brand studio and investment advisory. And you're working to like accelerate growth inside of that. And then there's the membership side of it that's for like bosses and founders and funders, and it's like diverse across everywhere. Did I like pick that up right?
Great job. No, you've well researched me. So we just took on a new, I guess it's the first time I'm kind of saying this, but we just took on a new investor partner. So the Authenticated Ventures is now in a joint venture with an incredible new business partner. So our business is in sort of two places. One is like an accelerator kind of, format. We took an accelerator and a co-op and kind of put them together with this overarching idea of the creator economy, and that being in creator mode is a thing. And creator mode for us is open source for everyone. I worked on Nike when I owned my agency. One of the lines that Bowerman, the famed coach who taught Phil Knight, says is, if you have a body, then you're an athlete. And so we believe if you have a body, then you're a creator, and the creator mode lives within everybody, whether you're, you could be, your business could be, in accounting, it could be, we believe there's a creator in there. And for us, creator just means somebody who's using these new platforms to build their business on top of. And there takes a level of ingenuity and creativity to kind of stitch together. What I gave you was my railroad tracks. Yours may look very different, but I have, a CRM system. I have a way of selling. I have products I sell. I have things I sell. But my store might look slightly different. But all of us are bound together by this idea that there's never been a greater time to build on these tech tools. There's never been more resources to actually build your business, right? And so, so the creator economy is our grand kind of thesis that governs the strategic work that we do. Kind of we called it a brand studio. It's more of like a strategic shop. Think IDEO or X Labs, Google X, and then. We're probably a month into like new capital that's flown into that business, and so we've made 3 or 4 significant hires. We have a former McKinsey amazing woman who was building a magazine for me. She was a member of The Authenticated, which is my community. A lot of my opportunities, talent, everything kind of flows through that. I would say The Authenticated is probably closer to my own version of a more diverse Soho house. So it's like, people who are kind of come together, bound by kind of, interesting backgrounds, diverse backgrounds. Some people are famous, some people you've never heard of. And we built it in Slack and WhatsApp about 4 years ago. And so that's kind of where, where a lot of things flow. People become members of it. We do events. We did, 100 dinners in the pandemic. We did, 4 major summits last year as a part of The Authenticated. And so Authenticated Ventures operates with 2 arms. One is the strategic work, and the other, which was investment advisory, is now actually us making investments. So we've invested probably in about 3 different companies, Clubhouse being one of them. And we're on our way to an early stage, formal seed stage kind of fund by the end of the year, hopefully, fingers crossed, inshallah. We are certainly a very like a modern day Disney. We have a former Disney person on our team, and she likes to say that we're kind of building this open source modern Disney. We're world building in the same way Epcot uses Epcot to kind of world build and test for brands and for partners. We're doing that kind of world building in our own metaverse. And it's a lab. It's a lab of hopefully spinning up lots of businesses, not just one. But we believe that coming through our accelerator, having access to our network, having access to our capital, having access to this incredible network allows us to help people spin up businesses and ideas faster. So that's kind of that's the flywheel of how things. Then our partner has a traditional agency, so the agency is called Quantasy. They're 70 employees, and they work with Wells Fargo, Honda, Google, Spotify, based in downtown LA in the Arts District. So we're really excited about this new partnership. It gives us a foothold in the new emerging what we think is the creator district in LA, which is what's happening in the Arts District with Spotify, Warner Brothers, us there as well. We were there early, so we're really excited about what's going on in downtown LA. And then the investment side, like I said, we're I feel like I've been in about 4 years of venture capital school. I've produced family office events. I've done some advisory work with startups, and then we recently got a great allocation to invest in Clubhouse, which was a platform not only that I just had read about, but had amassed 2.2 million followers, and wow, understood the guts of, right. It wasn't just like we don't just invest in things that we think are hype. We're investing in things that we think we can contribute to and actually pour gas on and accelerate the growth around.
Exactly. Yeah. That was my next question, is like, what is it that you like, what are the factors that have you investing in companies? Because as you said, some of them are known, some of them are not. What is it for our listeners, and just something to strive for in terms of what it is that you're looking to create with everything that you're doing? And congratulations, by the way. It's amazing what a visionary and what a vision you have, and that you're creating it, right? So
yeah, I think for us criteria, there's some certain intangibles, non-negotiables, right? The business has to be led by a founding team that's smart and really gets it, that they, it's not just an idea, it's a business. So once you get those things out of the way, we're generally playing
just that.
We're generally playing. I mean, because there are people who come to us all the time for I'm like, that's not a business, that's an idea, or that's a hobby, right? So there's got to be some skin in the game. Got to be kind of far enough along where it's like it's investable. We don't have a ton of capital to invest right now, so we can't be risky with our capital right now. And then I'd say it's also businesses where we think that our contributions and our expertise are valuable. We don't like to lead, we have celebrity relationships. What I don't want to be is the person who can bring celebrities to the table. So generally when people call us and go, oh, we want you on our cap table because you're friends with Ludacris. And I'm like, no, but you want me on your cap table because I know earned, paid, owned media. I know data, but most people don't understand that about us. So I think it's understanding both of those things, we understand culture, and we understand go to market, how you launch something, and we understand talent and the new creator economy. Because really when you're talking about celebrities for us, I just interpret that as, what do the new creators look like, and how do you partner with creators in a way that's enriching and that actually drives business. And so I think when you put those things together, that's the high level criteria. It's manifesting in a pet business that we're going to invest in. It's a robotics kind of product play in the pet space, and we think my partners worked with Bainfield, which is a pet hospital, and worked with Mars for years. So anyway, we think we have some. We're never going to be the biggest check on the cap table, but we think that we can be the most valuable and most strategic person on your cap table.
And I love that you talk about enriching, because that's a really important component, is if what it is that you're creating is actually enriching the lives of others and being able to bring people together and add massive value. And not just because it's cool or, because culture can kind of get into a whole nother world of the influencer model and the who looks best. And it's like, well, but what is it that's going on that's actually going to be creating something that's going to enrich other people's lives? Yeah. And enhance our lives in so many ways. And I think it's a really fine line.
I think for us, culture equals where people are paying attention. It's less about TikTok houses and sneakers and fast cars. It's really the culture to me is a much broader interpretation of culture. But I agree, in the limited version of what people generally think of when they think of culture, and the limited purview of which they look at my LinkedIn profile and go, oh, you worked in fashion, you worked in music, so you define culture as this. No, I define culture as lots of different things, right? Lots of different things. So yeah, I think for us, it is where does 1 + 1 = 3 and 4? Where do we think we can actually really add some value in what you're doing? And so therefore, the projects we're working on right now, especially in the lab, go from the White House to housing for African Americans, to a major media publication that wants to revive itself, to an NBA player who's retired and bought something and wants to think about, how do I think about investing in cities differently? It's intentionally wide because we have solves and solutions across different worlds, and it totally makes sense for us internally. But it's not, we're not there to like increase anybody's profile or make anybody any more famous. It's really more about like, what does true influence look like? What does true understanding culture signals, which is something we talk a lot about. What is understanding? It's like you could have data and then you have insights. Like I ran a business, my social media agency was building social media command centers in 2010. So I would like scrape data and drive traffic for major TV shows. But it was also like, what is it about what they're saying about the show Blackish? And why are they talking about the Grammys this way? And like understanding, interpreting the data in real time, by the way,
Wow.
and being able to serve those insights up. I think that's what sort of has trained me to be this sort of like cultural anthropologist, is I understand like how to use social data. I understand how to read the streets, read the tea leaves, but it's actually no different than my days of hip hop. Like in the days of hip hop, like we use things called BDS and SoundScan. So like, oh, the record's reacting at WPGC. Oh, KMEL played the record, so that must mean the Bay Area is hot on the record. Oh, so I need to go test that hypothesis that the Bay Area really cares about this artist. Oh, let me set up a club date in San Jose because I think like more Latinos are into this artist than the Filipinos in Daly City. I don't know, but like we were always playing around. That's why I call hip hop the original lean startup, right? We took a rough idea, put it on a mixtape, threw it out to the streets, and we iterated or pivoted based on what people came back with. The mixtape was the original minimal viable product. I once took these executives on a tour in Atlanta, and literally we went from the studio to understand how records go from the strip. It goes from the studio to the strip club. And the strip club is literally in Atlanta a testing ground for records. Like we knew whether records were going to work because you would bring the white test pressings to the strip club DJs. The strip club DJs are the ones who are looking for fail fast methodology. You know what I'm saying? Like if the idea of lean startup is fail fast, this record ain't working. And hate to just be, this is the way that this was my Harvard Business School, in the 90s, it's like understanding consumer audience reaction and how did it make you feel